are in demand, and not the chartered accountant also. Now, this is the scenario. And as an entrepreneur, sometimes I feel, where does the wrong lie? And how we can correct it. And that correction, unfortunately, doesn't come from the parliament. No, it does not. I am a former bureaucrat, if I can say. In our times, if the secretary and the minister differed, the case used to go to the prime minister. And the prime minister would decide. The prime minister will think that, well, the minister is a journalist, but the officer, the secretary, is a specialist. And the prime minister will then make a cohesion between the two and decide. And generally, the decision used to be in favor of the secretariat. That situation has not changed. Now, if that situation has not changed, then what we have to do? I think we have to emphasize upon whatever we have, the worker, the professional, and if you allow me to say, even the entrepreneur, even in the worst situation, he has not been doing badly. I hate to say, but India and Pakistan started at the same time. India is now exporting the cars and the motorcycles. There are only 5 brands of cars, 6 brands of the motorcycles. Pakistan has 7 brands of the cars and 21 models. How can you manufacture them? Or, again, forgive me, 67 motorcycles with 3 models each. And the government policy is that you have to manufacture, otherwise you will be penalized. How can 221 motorcycle be manufactured economically except through under-invoicing or through evasion of the sales tax, if not the income tax? Now, I had suggested that I will not speak as an industrialist. I will try to speak like an entrepreneur and investor. My suggestion, my conclusion, and particularly to men like you who have access to Islamabad, is, that if only we can strike with smuggling, under-invoicing, tax evasion, this economy will need no credit, no loans, according to the calculation of the Federation of Chamber of Commerce also, who are a party to it. Having said this, I have a word of thanks to all of you, and thank to Icap, who invited me after 7 years. 7 years. 6, huh? 7 years. After 7 years. Now, what would you like me to say to them, They would like to speak themselves and not invite people like me. Shabbar Zaidi has an access to Islamabad. Mr. Shaukat Tareen has done a lot with all the time that he is, and the government has its hearing. entrepreneur wants only stopping of smuggling, under invoicing, tax evasion. Otherwise, this country will always be at the mercy of the foreigners. They will use you. In Afghanistan, they will use you. Kashmir, they will use you here, there, and everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf Shirazi. Dear fellow members, now we are approaching towards our closing session, and just before that, we'll have question and answer session. During question and answer session, we expect you to ask whatever questions you would like to have. We certainly hope that you will contribute in order to make this session highly interactive. I would like to request each participant to ask maximum 2 questions. I further suggest that the questions to be raised should be briefed and to the point. Because of the time constraints, I request the participants to avoid any speech at this juncture, as we have already had enough. For the convenience of the participants who would like to ask questions, they are reminded that the mics have been placed on the floor. They should come to the floor, announce their name, and ask questions. The floor is now open for questions.
My name is Imran Mirza. My question relates to the 1% turnover tax. Actually, the question would have been directed to Mr. Asrar Rauf, like, unfortunately he's not here. So the question is basically that the 1% turnover tax has been imposed, and it is also applicable on companies which have huge turnover. And since I represent Pakistan Refinery, so the question is, what will happen to companies which are loss-making, which are facing problem, but despite that, the turnover is there, the turnover tax is there. So
well, I won't be able to fill in the shoes of Mr. Asrar Rauf, let me make it clear. But I'll just try to clarify. Well, this 1% minimum tax is by its inherent nature a minimum. And if you have a large turnover, well, it's too good and too bad at the same time, because you will have to bear that minimum tax if your actual tax liability happens to be less than that. So it is a form of what we have in US, a corporate alternate minimum tax. It's there. They should not have raised the rate from 0.5% to 1%. I personally do not fully agree with that. 0.5% was good enough, because this was conceived at a time in 1992 when a study revealed that not many corporates even did not pay any income tax. Of a sample of about 10,000 companies then, which was studied, hardly 300 plus companies tax actually paid was a certain percent close to 0.5% of the turnover. And it was born then in that particular scenario, and it should have been left at that 0.5%. Personally, I don't agree with it being raised, but the needs of mobilization perhaps may have compelled them, and the resource constraints they already seem to have all the time. They thought this is an easy thing to collect, and so they've done.
Imran, I will just add on that I believe for refineries and oil marketing companies and distribution companies, where inherently the margin is less than 1%, it will not continue, and there will be an exemption by way of second schedule or any other means before the budget is passed for the reduction of these advance tax on companies like you or oil marketing companies, where the margin is less than 1% or around less percent. So I can't expect Yaqub Sattar to earn for government. Okay, so that will be removed, I believe. It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Okay, hello gentlemen.
This is Ahmed Raza. मेरा सवाल ये कि 37A में सिक्योरिटीज़ पे कैपिटल गेन टैक्स लगाया. सिक्योरिटीज़ इंक्लूड्स शेयर्स ऑफ अ पब्लिक कंपनी, एंड शेयर्स ऑफ अ पब्लिक कंपनी इंक्लूड्स यूनिट्स ऑफ अ म्यूचुअल फंड. यूनिट्स म्यूचुअल फंड जो है वो डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज हैं उसकी. उसमें इक्विटी फंड भी है, डेट फंड भी है, मनी मार्केट फंड्स भी हैं. तो एक इन्वेस्टर जो मनी मार्केट फंड का इन्वेस्टर है, वो अगर यूनिट्स ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड लेता है और सब्सिक्वेंटली वो हाई प्राइस पे बेचता है, तो वो कैपिटल गेन के ज़मरे में कैसे आ रहा है? क्योंकि ये तो इक्विटी के लिए लाया गया था ना, तो इसमें डेट फंड और मनी मार्केट फंड के यूनिट होल्डर सफ़र करेंगे इससे.
ये सवाल किया गया था. जो मुझे पता